craziest gig you've done?
You mean the...
I mean the one.
Yeah, okay. Okay, well, craziest gig I've ever done. This is in, the band is at this point called Age. Well, our roadie at the time is the vice president for a serious motorcycle club called the Free Souls. And when I say serious, I mean you can look them up on Wikipedia, and they're in that, they wear colors and they're ranked up there with serious biker dudes. But anyway, Tinker, our tour manager guy, we didn't do a lot of touring really. He helped us with the gear and stuff, and was our security as well. Anyway, Tinker was the VP for the Free Soul, so he said, we're having an Aries birthday party with another group, another club from Boise, Idaho, and and these guys are, these are unruly dudes, and they're gals, and that there was a little bit of posturing between the Eugene Biker Club, the Free Souls, and Boise, Idaho. They're a little bit of, kind of, they're friends, but they're also, who's toughest. And
right.
And so we're sitting here. I remember this very, very clearly. We're singing "Johnny Be Good" just because we mostly wrote original tunes, but when you're singing artsy fartsy original songs about discovering the inner being of not for the bikers. This is not going over. They want to hear, how about some rock and roll?
Yeah.
And so, yes, sir.
Yeah.
Johnny Be Good, key of A. Here we go. And so I'm watching these guys. They bring out a table, like you see it, church tables, the unfolding legs and stuff. Fairly large table, and right in front of the bandstand. There wasn't really a bandstand. We just, right in front of the band. And then this girl hops up, and she drops her clothes and hops up on the table, spreads her wings, so to speak, as B.B. King so eloquently puts it.
Yes.
And then these guys all line up, and they're all dropping their trousers, and I'm sitting there going, wow, oh my God, go Johnny, go,
Right.
whoa, I've never...
Hey.
Johnny Be Good, da-da-da-da, now it's time for my solo. Whoa! This goes on for a while, We pack up and another band starts up, and so I'm in the men's room, standing at the urinal, and this guy is next to me. He's a biker, I'm not sure if he's a Free Soul or the other guy, the other club, but he's got a gun, and he's and he goes, man, those SOBs are going to shoot. That's not what he said, but that's close enough.
Yeah.
Or they're going to shoot me out there, and my gun's jammed, and I can't. Can you? And so he hands me his gun. And it's like, well, I don't know, but I'm not going to say,
yeah.
Oh, I can't touch that. I'm trying to man up here. So, but I'm not going to. Oh no, I don't know how to handle this. I could blow my foot off if I'm not careful. So
Right.
I'm holding it. Kind of gingerly, trying to be like, comrade,
Yeah.
we're going to work this out together. So I got to look at it and go, no, man, it's really jammed. And then only later did I figure out, wow, that's got my fingerprints on that gun. But anyway, so I give him his gun back, and it's like, okay. So then the next thing that happens is a circle of Harleys come into the Grange Hall, and it's a fairly large Grange Hall, so in one door, out the other, and so everybody decides that that's what they're going to do, is ride their bikes through the Grange Hall, down and out and in and out. And I'm telling you, man, the sound of, at any one time, there might have only been 5 or 6 Harleys at a time. I mean, they were doing the big circle, but inside,
Yeah.
a bunch of them, and they're all, check mine out.
Yeah.
And this is going on, and that's not all. Then they decide, we're going to blow holes in the side of the Grange Hall, because at this point they're quite well lit up. And so there are big chunks of plaster coming out. We're going, it's time to go now.
Right.
It's time to go.
Right.
So we fling open our van doors, and there's a couple in there just, banging away in our van. And, I'm going, okay, we can't load up our gear till they're done. Hurry up,
So you guys got the amps and the PAs and everyone sitting
Yeah.
out by the van going, hey man, can you hurry up in there?
Yeah. whoa! And of course, there wasn't any like, oh, close the door. Ah.
Yeah.
No, I'm just like, hey man,
Right.
dig it. You know, so that was the weirdest gig.
Desert Island guitar. What would you take?
I'm really into baritone guitars, and I have, it's going to be tough because I've got a Telecaster baritone and I have a Les Paul baritone. And it's actually a Gibson Les Paul that they made, I think in 2006, for like a year or two, they made baritone Les Pauls.
I've never seen one.
Well, picture this then, because this is going to be my Desert Island guitar. I
Okay.
mean, it has to be a baritone, and the Les Paul baritone is just so freaky. It's a standard Les Paul body, standard everything, the spacing of the controls, the bridge. They stuck a 24 fret neck on it so that they get the extra scale length, not by moving the bridge and saddle back, but and tailpiece, but by sticking a long neck on. And I think they meant it to be for drop-tuned, big rock bands. But I tune it B to B, so I'm down a fourth.
Mm-hmm.
I've got 72 on the bottom B string, the sixth string, and either a 13 or 14, depending
Okay.
on the top. That would be the guitar.
That's it.
Yeah, because it's a piano.
When you play it, I mean, what amp do you feel captures the nuances of it?
Humbuckers in a blackface, clean.
It's a great combo.
And if the blackface is small enough wattage, twins sound great, but I like, like this sort of super reverb wattage, like a 410, 45 watt,
Mm-hmm.
push that with this big Les Paul, and it's just the right amount of breakup, and, really cool.
If there's a musical heaven,
Yeah.
what is it?
Musical heaven. Well, I gotta be honest, I think, God, I get up every day, I've got a day job as a guitar magazine editor, which is really a lot of work. It's very demanding and brutal deadlines and everything, but the fact that, selfishly, I think I'm sort of in musical heaven in that, I live in Nashville, so I've chosen to live here because there's so many great musicians, and it's not just guitar, although we have some of the finest guitarists ever living here, multi-generations of them.
Yep.
But also the fact that Jerry Douglas is here on his dobro, and all the other great dobro players, and the pedal steel players, and unbelievable drummers and bassists and singers and songwriters, and whoosh. So geographically, this is the sweetest place that I have found on the planet as far as being accepted. Like I'm not considered weird. If I was living in dozens of other places, it's kind of like that oddball guy who's dedicated his life to guitar.
Right.
Here it's like, yeah, and
Right.
what's your point,
Right.
So that's part of the heaven, is living here in Nashville, but the other part is that I actually somehow have gotten in a situation where I'm able to support myself playing guitar. If not playing guitar, at least support myself writing about it, interviewing people.
Tell the viewers for our little show about the guitar show with Andy Ellis. And I love listening to the show because you always are able to get really good interviews with just my favorite players and heroes. And I mean, it's so amazing. So just tell them a little bit about that.
Okay. Once upon a time, about 4 years ago, somebody came up to me and said, someone who had a 2-hour slot on our local community radio station called Radio Free Nashville, and they said, well, I've got this 2-hour slot, and I'm, for various reasons, I'm bailing on my show, but you like to play records for people. So it's evolved into a 1-hour program, which is actually much more sane, that's broadcast on Radio Free Nashville, but also streamed during the broadcast. It's streamed online, and it's actually, there's a station in San Antonio that also carries it, and so anyway, each week's show is broadcast for 4 nights across the week. And what it is it's not a live thing where I sit in front of a mic and spin records, but instead I interview guitarists and then cut up the audio and weave segments of the interview in with the record. Like this week, the show features Robin Ford as the guest, and he has a new record out, which is very interesting because he just plays Epiphone, 1966 Epiphone Riviera, only the neck pickup. What he told me in the interview was he didn't even change the volume on his guitar or his amp. He set one sound and he played the whole record with that. No dinking around, no pedals, no nothing. One guitar, one neck pickup, one amp setting, Shazam, that's it. What I try to do is pry out from these people a lot of guitar geeky stuff, but more than just the tubes and the amps and stuff. It's like, how did you prepare for the record? What you're writing, what you're arranging, Did you just go in and make it up in the studio, or did you rehearse or demo? Just the creative process. Once the broadcast is done, then we cut the interview section out and stick it up on our website so people can go in and just stream the interview. So I've got like more than 100 interviews there right now, and the latest Jerry Douglas record he talks about, and I did Larry Carlton a couple months ago, for his latest record. And Bryan, this is going to sound really grandiose, and I don't mean it to at all, but what I'm really trying in my own small, tiny, microscopic way to do is document what's happening at the turn of the 21st century with guitar. Because think about this. Wes Montgomery and Jimi Hendrix, they were interviewed some. Jimi Hendrix was interviewed some for sort of music magazines, but nobody ever really asked him much about his creative process that I've ever read.
Me neither. Yeah, it's a great point.
What about Wes Montgomery? What about all these guys?
They're lost.
They're lost,
Yeah.
And even Chet Atkins, nobody, he's been interviewed tons, but everybody always asks, because they're not musicians, so they always ask, where were you born? So what I want to do is, when I'm long gone, the 15-year-old, 14-year-old kid, 50 years from now, who wants to go back and study. I've interviewed Leo Kottke. I've interviewed, Bryan Sutton. Mark Knopfler, Santana. I just want these voices. Sometimes they tell you something profound.
As you say that, I think it's really cool that the amount of work that you're doing for documentation purposes and posterity's sake, and to be truly the historian that you are, and to leave a predetermined and premeditated legacy for me, for my kids, for anybody that just loves guitar and loves this music that we can make with it.
Yeah.
You know what it is? You're almost like you're combining Harry Smith and the Lomax family.
Yeah.
And you're right in
They've
there.
inspired me. Their work has inspired me. Terry Gross has inspired me as an interviewer.
I can't believe you're not syndicated yet. You need to be syndicated.
Yeah.
We got to get you there.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Any help I'll appreciate.
I'll lend it. Let me know. Final question.
Yeah.
Favorite album of all time? You're not culturally. What would be hip?
Electric Ladyland.
Just you. Yeah.
Electric Ladyland. There's two reasons why. It's a double record. When I got it, it was vinyl, so I get two for the price of one. And the other thing on it is that makes it so favorite is that there's a Dylan and a Jimi Hendrix collaboration, and that's Jimmy playing All Along the Watchtower. Mm-hmm. If I had to pick one record, not an album, but if I had to pick one recording, one single, All Along the Watchtower by Jimi Hendrix, or performed by Jimi Hendrix, because it's got you can hear that.
Oh yeah.
And
there's a magic to that production value that Eddie Kramer, just put on that. Thank you so much for doing this. This has been a treat.
Bryan, thank you for asking me.
Man, that was amazing.
Andy Ellis, everybody. Awesome.
Yeah.
If you visit theguitarshow.com, which is Andy Ellis's website, there you're going to find his show, which is called The Guitar Show.
Yeah, and you're going to find lots of archived interviews with some of the best players in the world. Everyone from Tony Rice to Bryan Sutton to Mark Knopfler to Joe Bonamassa, and the list goes on and on and on. It's just episode after episode of amazing players. Highly encourage you to go and check out his show.